Welcome to the Late to Chess podcast. He's back. We're back. Dr.
Back
Pop Pop.
better than ever.
That's right. You know, ever since you agreed, somewhat stupidly, to co-host this with me,
We've
I've been
lost
adding.
members.
What's that? No,
We've
no,
lost members.
no,
Okay.
no. It's taken off. It's like a rocket ship up to the teens. Anyway, that was a podcast joke. Uh, I have been adding to my episode idea list. I've only gotten a couple from listeners so far, and
Mhm.
so I think we're up to what are we up to? Like 70. So
Wow.
we got a lot of episodes coming,
Yeah.
and you've had a day, so we thought we'd take a nice and easy one. But I thought it was particularly pertinent to the chess review that we had today, which was two of your games, and I thought we'd talk about what I call the magic of development. One of the key
Okay.
principles from the dojo. And the more I know about chess, the more I realize it's like a magic wand for your chess game. So when you came back to chess, did you start with the dojo immediately or did you start later?
No, later.
Okay. And then development is one of the three or four key principles. I think they have four. Um, what was your relationship to development and how has it changed recently, like over the past few months? Or maybe we should say what
Um,
it is, I guess. Maybe that
Go ahead.
that would
Give
be
us
good
give us a
podcast.
give us a working definition.
All right. Development. Getting your pieces out from their starting square. And pieces in chess is typically defined not as pawns, but the pieces behind the pawns. Pawns are pawns, they're not pieces. Getting them out to a more active, and active is usually uh, defined as how many squares or how much of the board can the pieces see if they had eyes. So you want to get them off the back row, towards your opponent, ideally seeing as much or controlling as much or pressuring as many of the squares as possible. So that's to me is development. What did I miss? Did I miss something?
I think that's it.
Okay. So one of the three things that we keep going over with our games is development, controlling
Mhm.
the center four squares or the second perimeter squares of the center, and king safety, which usually means castle your king early. Okay.
Right. Right.
But, well, then we talk about time too, tempos.
Mm.
But as I get better with chess, I start noticing, hey, this development thing, even though some grandmasters and higher level players don't always follow it as strictly as we probably should, it seems to be like this little magic wand that waves over my game. If I do it, I win. If I don't do it, I tend to lose. And so I was just going back when you started, came back because you had played when you were a youth. What was your relationship to development?
I don't ever remember having that conversation other than the idea, reading about it, and then in playing, getting your pieces out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But getting your pieces out so I mean, we didn't use this word. I don't remember it. Getting these pieces out to develop them for the next phase of the game, which I guess I'd want to say, or the question I want to ask is, what is the relationship between development and strategy?
Oh, that's a harder question. But
Because okay, okay, I get my pieces out.
hmm
Okay, well, okay,
and
then what?
yeah,
Because then we have questions of like today in the review, for example, I on one of the games, Jesse Cry said, he moved the bishop back,
yeah,
and I moved the knight back, to its previous position, which is a no-no, right?
undevelopment was what we
Under
called it.
Yeah, undeveloping, and I think okay. Is it undeveloping if I'm moving away from something? It's undeveloping no matter what. Like,
No,
or
I don't think so.
you
I mean, personally, I mean, I'm not the the chess authority who waves his hand and blesses what the definition of words are. But in my
Right.
interpretation, that wouldn't be, there's offensively moving forward and then there's defensively moving backwards. But I don't think defense is necessarily undeveloping. I think in that case it was the bishop moved. I can't remember if it was one square or two squares, obviously diagonally, and
Yeah, two
then
squares.
it moved back to its original square. So I think that was why you refer to it as undevelopment in that case.
Right.
And the other thing
Right.
was the knight next to it and the rook were still there. So really, and the pawns were all still there. So really, it kind of blockaded himself. All three of those pieces were now on the original square. So he really wasn't developing. He was actually undeveloping or owing a tempo is one of the other ways he referred to it as that, just to go back to where he was.
Right. So then where is so the next question then is, okay, that's the case, which it is. W- What is magical about development?
So to me, okay, so what I did was remember I'm a little older than you, and I didn't know that there were chess books. Like the only book I knew that was on chess was in the Parker Brothers box, and it was a couple pages, and it was Maupassant wasn't known. I don't think I knew. I'm pretty sure I didn't know what castling was. So I just played. So really, my fundamental games that I played when I was a kid against my father and against people in school,
Mhm.
not on a chess club, just in school. I had two things: move my pieces to squares where they weren't under attack, and try and go forward. That was
Right.
it. That was all I knew about chess, and it served me well. I was one of the better players that I played against. But then later on, when I was in college and I played somebody just as a joke, and his father was a grandmaster, um, I got absolutely hammered, and then I didn't play again until last year. So if you're playing against somebody who doesn't know how to play, don't try to kill them because then you'll just drive them away from the sport, like me. And it drove me away from chess for, let's see, 25 plus. I think it was 35 plus years. I
Mhm.
could have been decent by now. But anyway, that doesn't matter. So to me, the magic of development is these concepts were new to me when I first started
Yeah.
paying attention to the dojo. The magic is it's kind of free. It's kind of free power to my game in that the more pieces I have out, the more squares I protect, the more squares I influence, the less squares my opponent has, and then it starts to kind of swarm and it gives me options. So I find that if I get all my pieces out, I typically do well. And if I don't, because I get too excited about a move or a tactic or something, then I get ahead of myself or I push a pawn too far. And then my opponent just goes over and clobbers me like the noob chess player that I am.
Right.
So that's why I say the magic of it is it's kind of free. Just take the free gift, the gift that keeps on giving because it multiplies with time.
Right. I look at development as building blocks.
Mm-hmm.
And matter of fact, I don't know, the other day I was thinking about how or foundation, right, of
Yeah.
a build or a bridge. I was thinking about the foundation of a bridge and how they and you're the engineer, so um
I don't make bridges though.
no, but you have to have that foundation. Like I've
Yeah.
always marveled how they do it in water. I
Yeah.
get the land bit and how they do that in water and how that foundation has to be absolutely what it needs to be for them to progress to build up and then build across, right?
Yeah.
To make the bridge and then in the suspension and all that, depending on how that is. And so I look at chess development the same way that I can't I can't get across a bridge because there'd be no bridge if I don't have the foundation,
Mm-hmm.
right? And development is that foundation. So you can have all the strategic ideas, or fall in love with an idea. And I just played someone where I think that was the case. They felt so much in love with this idea of,
Mm-hmm.
of to checkmate that they thought was going to move on toward a checkmate against me, that they really, my opponent stopped developing,
Yep. And
right?
started
Which
bouncing around the board and wasting
all you're
time.
racing time, right? And which I think part of development too is what goes into development is calculation,
A little bit.
looking for captures, threats, all the stuff that we have to check. I mean, you can't just move your because it's not just moving your piece forward, right?
No.
It's got to be it's got to be a good move, right?
Hmm.
Not necessarily a great move, but a good move. And so part of
I
development, I think that's the magic of it, though,
Yeah.
as well, is that it's not just about moving them forward or getting them out. They have to be in good squares because you can
Yeah.
technically move a piece forward, but not into a developing space, right? Or
Right.
not a very good developing space, maybe. Like if you do
Yeah.
instead of NF3, right? You're what ND2 or something,
Or NH3.
or NH3, right? So I think that um, the magic of development is that it's building a foundation um,
Well, I mean, the
forward.
ideal is to develop to, if you can do like two things, like develop an attack or develop an, you know, uh, pressure somebody else who brings the queen out early. If you can develop and then kick the queen, because the queen, even if the queen's defended, it's still vulnerable. Like you can put a pawn behind the queen. I don't care. I'm still going to take it with my knight, for instance.
Right.
So, that's if you can get multi-purpose move, like that's one reason that castling's so good. Is you develop your rook and you protect your king, or
Right.
you develop and protect, or you develop and attack, or develop and threaten. So that's the
Right.
best way.
Because development is it's not about it's not only about developing that piece. I guess that's
Hmm.
what I'm trying. It's like a building blocks thing.
Hmm.
A development is to move the piece, yes, but it also sets you up for the next move with that piece or another piece. Usually another piece,
Yep.
right? Because that's how tactics are created, right?
Hmm.
Right. And so I think that's the magic of it is how interrelated uh, developing is. So it's not just about a piece, right? So
Yeah.
when I move to NF3 or NC3, for example, in your opening in one of your openings, I'm not only thinking about moving it to NC3, right? I'm already thinking, okay, well, what's going to come after that, and how's that going to be connected? If I or like I move my bishop to what B5, right, and
Yep.
then move my knight to NC3 to protect the bishop. So
Right.
I developed them, but now they're protected and they're attacking, or at least the bishop is, right?
Yeah.
On MB5 or B5.
Right.
So I think to me that's what I like about it. How it development is. If it's done the way it's supposed to be done, everything is interconnected, interrelated,
Yeah.
and that's where the strategy then builds from.
Yeah. I mean,
And
I I I refer to that as piece correlation.
yeah, yeah,
Because
better.
you want to interact. I don't know if that's the official chess
It's,
jargon, but
sounds good.
it makes sense to me. But I
Yeah,
don't know. It's it's interesting. I write notes when you're talking because you bring up stuff that I need to go over.
yeah,
You've got five of them now, so this episode just got really long. So you mentioned development in terms of good squares, and that's one of the concepts that I am still terrible at. Like Jesse will say, put it on a good square, or put it on the square where it belongs, or put it on the square where it's happy. I have no idea what he means. None. Like, I don't know what a good square is. A good square to me is where it's not getting attacked. Okay, there's lots of those, but I don't have an understanding or an intuition or a chess sense to know exactly what that means. I don't know. Maybe I do. Maybe I just don't know I do, but I don't think I do. So that's
Well,
one of those terms that confuse me.
I think you do. Sometimes we don't know the terms, but well, you do something, and somebody will say, "Oh, that's that," right? And you're
Yeah, it
like,
could be.
"Oh,"
Yeah.
and, well, because right, it's okay. What's a good square? A good square is everything you said, right? It's and that I've said, I think, where a good square is okay. You've developed the piece. You've got it out of its original space. You've moved it forward. Um, so it has the opportunity for what's next
Hmm.
in a positive way. What's next isn't you blundered and his knight took it.
Yeah.
Right?
You don't put it right diagonally next to a pawn, right?
Yeah, right. Right. So I think that's what that means. It's like, okay, you did move it, you moved it to where it's safe, and you moved it to where it has an opportunity to do something. I guess that's when we call it the an act, be active, right? It's
Hmm.
an active, So we know I think we know it. Um, and I think, as I look at all our games in our cohort, what I'm noticing is we're making less blunders,
Should be.
less mistakes, really, and more. We still are because you can't figure. It's we're not well. We're not even GMs are perfect. We still have inaccuracies. There are less of them,
Hmm.
but we still have inaccuracies for sure. Um, you know, so I think that's a sign of that we're working on this triumvirate of development, right? We moved it, it's safe, and now it has a potential of doing something good for us. Bad
Yeah.
for the other dude, but good for us.
I guess I understand more what a bad square is than what a good square is or what a natural square is. Like I understand that the knight going to, let's say, C3 or F3 is better than we develop our knight off the first move to A3 or H3, the edge, because A, your knight can see more squares, and B, if it's on the C or the F, it can touch two of the middle squares. So that's a good square. But a bad square is easier for me to define in my head, but a good square, once you get past the opening, like in the middle game, those where it gets a little more opaque for me, and I don't quite I either don't understand it or I don't know that I understand it or I want to understand it better. I don't know. All three.
I think a good square, again, I think a good square is there's potential for the next move
Could be.
for
I mean, it
you.
could be that simple. Maybe I'm making more of it. You know how when you don't know something well enough, you make more of it like than
Yeah,
it
but you
might
do
be
it, you do it like
sometimes.
when you play. No, yeah, you do it. When you play, you're really good with your knight. So when you put your knight there in the center, or even in where then your opponent's like, oh, well, this is bothersome, annoying. What am I going to do with this?
I love those. That makes me
Yeah,
so happy when I drive you
right.
crazy. Like
That's a
I want
good.
you to like rip your hair out during a game. That's all I
Yeah,
want.
right. Yeah. Well, look, it's
I
going.
mean,
Um,
there's so many more hairs though. I got follicles aplenty to choose from.
driving me crazy. Uh, yeah, but or even just like in the review today, a couple. It's one of when Jesse was asking, um, we're talking about what's a good move, a simple move. Well, a good square made sense. He said E5 or E4 or whatever it was. It was a pawn move.
Yep. Yep. Just a simple protect it with a pawn.
Right. Or it's like, okay, if I move this pawn, okay, I forked this guy. I'm either going to take, because of where my other pawn is, I'm either going to take this bishop or this knight. He's going to lose
Right.
one piece, right?
Right.
When you make that move, okay, and that's the next opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
When that happens, that's how I'm not sure. I think we might think it's a good square, right? But I'm not sure if we know that completely at our level
Yeah.
until that next move. So it's kind of this, you know, you look back, right?
Yep.
And you go, oh, you think this is a good move, okay? And then the next move is, oh, yeah, he's trapped or whatever, and you making it, yeah, that was at least it was how do I want to say it? Concrete
Yep.
result that says, yeah. But I hear what you're saying that there is still, even though it's a good square is a good square, but in our minds, it still might not be until the next. till
Yeah.
what we think is going to happen happens, right?
Yeah. Or when something we didn't see happens and we go, oh, that wasn't a good square.
Right. Yeah, and I don't know if you ever get rid of that because there's always going to be somebody that is
Hmm.
going to make this crazy move that you're like, oh, I'm like Ron Burgundy,
Yeah.
I did not see that coming.
Yep. I think I see that way too often. But
Yeah.
you know what? You brought up again. So we're you know what the definition of podcast is in the dictionary? Uh,
No, tell me.
It's digression. Long people talking and
Yeah.
digressing all the time. But you brought up,
Listen, you asked me.
I know,
You asked me to be part of this.
I know. I didn't say you weren't going to be good at it. I didn't say,
Yeah.
I'm
So if we
I'm just making
digress,
sure. We just start and we skew off to this anyway.
I know.
So learning about this good square, bad square thing brings me to another thing, which is way off the topic. We'll get back to it, I think, maybe. Um, when we were reading the Giannatis book, the everybody's first uh,
Yeah.
workbook, chess workbook, I think it is
Yeah.
Giannatis. Um, I learned those tactics because remember, I'm coming from the hey, if my piece can't get taken, it's a good square. Um, Once I saw these tactics, I was like, I'm going to use these everywhere. And you know what I found out? Just because you can fork something doesn't mean it's a good move. Because I have forked things, and that was the extent of my calculation. Oh, I can fork. I'm doing it. Forks are good. Forks are good. They make me happy when I eat. They make me happy on a chessboard. And then I lost the game because I realized that just because I know it's a tactic doesn't mean it's always good. You have to actually calculate it, not just sit there and say fork. And because one
Yeah.
time I was
I
just learning, I forked with a queen, which was dumb because one of the pieces I forked was a bishop, and the bishop took my queen.
right.
I'm just like, you're an idiot. Right after I
Well,
did it, but
yeah, I think that again, that goes back to, okay, I think this is a good square, and you learn something, right? And then you try to put it to use.
yep,
And so I think that's why I asked the question in the beginning about how that development is connected to strategy, because then you realize when you start working that out down the road,
hmm
oh, yeah, I can fork this, but I'm going to end up losing this piece. If it was a knight, I wouldn't care. If I had forked it and I got this, and then I lost the knight, I could live with it, right? Because I
yeah,
want to get rid of this piece, but I don't want to lose my queen yet.
nope,
It's not. I'm not trading with the queen. If I was forked something and I was trading with the queen, okay.
yeah,
So I think that's the thing that with any of the things that we learn, development, tactics, whatever, middle game openings,
yep,
um, you can know an opening real well, but you know, if you don't have any middle game,
yep,
trouble. Or like myself, you can get to the middle game and get to the end game and not do well in an end game, and all that work was for naught.
yeah. You freeze up on the end games. I think you're starting to get it. They're starting to get in your head.
Yeah, I'm just saying, oh, come on, you
I
can do
think
this.
I think you hit the end game. Go, okay, how am I going to lose this one?
Yes. Well, how can I not lose instead of how am I going to win this?
Yeah, crush them, crush them.
Crush. I know, right? I've been practice. I've been practicing. I've been on that Chessiverse.
Oh, okay. How is
They
that?
have it's really great because the bots you play at the different levels are like playing against yourself or someone like you.
Really? Like human?
Yeah, that's their tagline. It's like the human bots, right?
Yeah,
They play like humans, and they do.
really.
Well, one way I know how is that I beat some of them.
Ah,
But yeah, they are playing like humans. They're not just bots. If they were, I wouldn't be winning. But they have a thing you can do end games. There's an end game challenge. So I think that's the other thing. Again, I know I digress. So, but
that's
I
what we
admit
do.
it. I
Welcome
admit
to
it.
the
I admit
podcast.
it.
You're
Yeah,
finally
I admit
settling in.
that's it. I admit it. Um, that not so I digressed and I forgot what I was going to digress with.
Endgame?
Oh yeah. Um,
I listen.
yeah, thank you. One of the it's all connected, and I think this is the one thing I don't like about. how we talk, train, listen about chess.
What do you
And
mean?
and I think it's a moneymaker for the the chess commerce world. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can have all these courses on openings, you have all these courses on middle game, tactics, whatever it is, right? End games. We buy them all up. But I think the best kind of books or courses are the ones that are the all-inclusive that teach you the fundamentals to checkmate right from the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, and you work through that so you see how it's all interrelated.
With the
And I think
why.
right with the why, which I think that's why we as adult improvers struggle. As I listen to our reviews and what Jesse said, and I listen to our comments, mine included, um, I see how we compartmentalize chess
Mm-hmm.
into openings, middle games, end games, strategy,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, tactics, calculation. And then there's a big like discussion. I was listening to a podcast between, no, there's a difference between tactics and calculation,
Mm-hmm.
and all that's good. And maybe that's good when you're 2,300 and up or 2,500 and up. I don't, I suppose it is. But for us, those things aren't helping us connect all of them, to connect the dots with all of them.
It just makes you feel like you don't know anything because you have to know everything.
Right. When if we from the beginning, if the training was, and I think Jesse tries this. I think this is one of the things with the dojo, and and I don't know if people get offended or what, but when he's talking about our level and stuff, you don't, and he said you don't need to know this per se, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really in a way to protect us from what I'm talking about. So we don't go by 100 chessable opening courses like we did.
Didn't work.
Uh, yeah. So now it's funny. So I'm back to the beginning really
Mm-hmm.
of training in a way that's trying to see everything connected.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, okay, yeah, I have two openings. And one, it's funny. I was one of my opponents. Oh, this is and you've said this to me too, I think, was telling me about, oh, this is, the beginnings of the French defense and all this. And I go, I don't know that. I mean, I know, I've heard of it. I know of it.
Mm-hmm.
But
But you don't know it as
I,
the French. You just know it as this move and this move and this move.
well, right. I know it as, this course I took, I went through it and I learned these moves and the GM, I don't ever remember him even, he might have, but using that term, French defense or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure maybe he did in the video, but I know these 15, 20 moves,
That's
in
a
a
lot
couple
of
very,
moves at our level, by the way.
well, I don't know what's going on, but I thought my memory was getting bad, but my memory is actually getting better.
It does.
And I haven't had any creatine, Jesse. Um, so
Like Jesse's listening to our podcast trying to
I
learn what
know
we're
he
doing.
probably is. He's like, what are these guys talking about? Um,
We're just chump
but
chumps. We're not
we
even
love
chump
the we love
GMs.
the dojo, Jesse. We love the dojo.
Absolutely.
So yeah, so I think that, and it's different for everybody. Some people they know like whatever it is, how many moves,
Oh yeah.
and I know the why behind it, and so it's easier for me. And I'm starting to connect. Okay, yeah, if I do this and this, no, I don't always do it, obviously, because we
No.
saw the
Well,
reviews.
well,
Even when I
sometimes
play,
the other guy doesn't do what you need.
it never does, right? I mean,
Right.
you see it right off the bat in the last game that
Yeah.
they looked at, right? When I played black, right? It's
Yeah.
I forget what I was like a pawn. It
Mm-hmm.
should have been E6, but I made it, I don't know, whatever it was, or
Right.
and right now that's going to happen, But I have in my head that I know that I need to make these good moves to do to the next thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I thought that was a good move, that obviously, okay, it's a mistake, but um, I think that's why I'm actually playing. I have better board. I'm better. I'm getting better because I have better board vision
Yeah.
because of
You're
this
definitely
idea.
better. You
Because
don't believe it, but you are.
well, I know I don't know how better I am. I just know I'm better because I can. I'm getting those pieces out. I am developing them, and I'm starting to think, okay, if I do this, this, and this, it's again, you can see though how, you know, as Jesse said, Merry Christmas
Hmm.
to Aotis because I was worried about time, but it wasn't just that. It was also, I went as far as, and and like you said, maybe I should have just made a couple more moves,
Yeah.
and that would have been it. Um, but I felt like wrongly or rightly, I got as far as I could,
Hmm.
right?
Yep.
And so I need to get past that hump, you know. But anyways, but that's only because I got that far because of the whole idea of the magic of development and how that's piece interrelated, you said, or correlated. I forget.
Correlated, I think, is how I do piece
Okay.
correlation.
Correlation, piece correlation. There you go. That was a very long answer. Sorry.
That's okay. It's what we were supposed to do, right?
Right.
I think the thing that we need to make sure that we talk about though is um there the breaking down of the game into so many different subsections because like you said, you've got the opening, you got middle game, you got end game, you got calculation, you got tactics, you got
Strategy.
strategy, you've got positional play, you've got
Oh,
tactical
I
play,
forgot about that one. Yeah.
yeah,
Imbalances.
and balances and there's a bunch of them. I haven't even read those books yet, but I've heard the
Yeah,
words.
right. Right.
And it just, at least at our level, in my opinion, for me, um, it just makes it seem like, wow, I don't know enough about 50 different things. And it makes me feel like I don't know anything. And I think that's part of the thing that makes chess difficult. And we were talking, was it yesterday or the day before? And I said, I think we're screwing ourselves because we're making this overcomplicated. We're
Yeah.
overthinking it. We're over learning it. We're overdoing complexity when we need to simplify.
Right. Right. And if you think about it, okay, I move this pawn, and I know there's okay variations and
Hmm.
combinations and all that stuff, but it seems very basic. E4, E5,
Yep.
knight F3, NC3,
Yep.
uh, bishop to whatever, get them out, get castle, okay, and then
You're breaking my Scottish heart.
yeah. Oh, by the way, I did see a course or a book about the new modern Scotch. I don't know if you saw that or not. I'll have to show
Not
you
yet.
that. I thought
Like
I
I need
thought,
like I
oh,
need another course I don't
I
read.
know. Well, yeah, we don't need it, but I do. But I did think of you. Like, oh, I should tell him about this.
Yeah.
But so you're right. It's like Noel Studer says, it's simple but hard,
Hmm.
right? Yeah. It's what's hard is to figure out that it's simple.
Yeah. Make it simple. Not make it
Yeah.
hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Okay. E4, E5.
Yeah.
D4, D5, whatever. Just get them out,
When you've
look
got four
around.
good moves, play any of them. They're fine.
It's like driving. That's another thing I've been thinking about. It's like driving. You don't just, no, I mean, I suppose some people do, but their lives are short. I go to the stop sign, I stop,
Yeah.
I look. I mean, that's the whole captures threats, but really, isn't it?
Well, people
Threat.
already know you don't live in California now.
Yeah, I know. It's right. Well, we have to look every which way in where I live because there's a lot of deer, and they
Yeah,
don't pay attention to any signs.
they don't
They don't.
listen to stop signs, and they don't even listen to the sign that says they're crossing.
I know they do not
They
cross. Where
cross
did they tell you?
anywhere.
I know. I
The
mean, they think
hell?
they own this place, like they were here before us or something.
I know.
But
God.
anyways, yeah. So I think you. That's the other thing I like about what Jesse said today, and using metaphors. I think that's really good. The one about the college, the bathroom
Oh,
in the college.
getting the
I don't know
kids
if
out of
every.
the college so your
Yeah, yeah,
house is
right.
empty. Yeah.
Right, and I think he even used for one of our. I can't remember if it's my opponent's move or my move, but about okay, got him out of the house, or or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I think that is where we need to be. It's like okay, I need to get this guy out of the house,
Yeah.
right?
Make
Well,
it
how am
make
I
it
going to do that?
easier. I need it open. I need some
Let's see.
room. I'm in a cramped position. I think the context that he was using is if you're in a cramped position, you want to trade pieces so that you open up the board so you can do something. If you're in the, advantageous position where you have lots of space, it's not important for you to trade pieces, even if you're, ahead or behind. But if you're all tightened up and you've got all your pieces and they're all stacked on top of each other, and I know I've done this at least once to you, you're just like, I can't move. And you should be looking to, even if, in my mind, even if it's taking the inferior trade for, I'll give up my bishop for your knight, maybe that's what
Open
you
it
need to
up.
do sometimes.
Well, yeah, I think that um, the I mean, Jesse's right that this, like about opening the space and or trading when to open up the space. And this is where he's right about time, even though we make fun of it, right? In every way,
It's
whether
all with love.
not just the tempi, but our time usage, right?
Oh, that one. Yeah, I
Yeah,
forgot about that one.
because the reality is longer you think about it, right? You take your time.
Hmm.
That's when you'll see,
Hmm.
okay, I'm tight. It's tight here. What can I do to get out of this? Right. And you
Yep.
take your time and you think through it. But instead, what we do is, oh, I'm going to move here and, try to force him. Like in one of the games today, what I heard my opponent talking about is I heard a couple of words like tricks or seduce, and when you play better players, there's no tricking or seducing them. We might be able to do that to each other,
Yeah.
but if you want to progress, that's why they tell you, back to the opening thing, everybody learns all the, I've heard it in our group, the Legals made or, the four move checkmate, all that stuff that we all, thought was great when we first learned that, right?
Yep.
Back in the day, okay, you're going to get that against newcomers for a couple. And I think it's less now because more beginners are better,
Hmm.
right? Better um, than I was when I was a beginner. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I think that when you take your time, chess is simple.
It can be if we
Unless you're,
if
like
we
I said,
stop
if you're,
overcomplicating it, right?
well, right. But I think if you take your time, that you have a better chance of not complicating it. Just again, like the opponent about, I didn't continue to calculate, right? I didn't see how it was going to work, but I went for it anyways. Instead of saying, I didn't see how it was going to work, so I pulled back to regroup and see what's next.
Hmm.
That's what we should do,
That would be a good thing to do. If we could do it
right?
all the time, we'd be much better.
Well, and I think what it proved was, well, or what it did was show that all the development that he did ended up being wasted.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Like it's kind of like the old joke, like when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail.
Yes.
And to an extent, when we're reading a book or we find something new, or I found out like, oh, what is it, the interference one or discovered
Oh
one?
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, oh,
Either
I'm gonna
one.
do that. I'm just gonna do discover checks over and over and over and over. And it's almost an offshoot of when you try to force stuff,
Yeah.
you know,
No, it is it. That is what it is.
and you can't. You just kind of have to be patient, have to, sometimes play the simple move and don't go for the, oh, I've got a line. It's 15 moves and I see checkmate. And then you realize, like on move three, that when they take your piece that you're sacrificing, you forgot that you're in check now. And everything you had past that is gone.
It doesn't matter, does it? I
No.
remember playing one of my earlier first games, and I calculated this whole bonanza of a move that I said, well,
You can't
kind
stop
of like,
this. I got this
yeah.
one.
And I calculated maybe I went up to four or five. I did it, and I forget what the move was now. But my opponent took one of my knights, and I'm like, oh well, that's blown, you know.
Plan trashed.
Yep, and end up losing,
Yeah,
you
it
know.
happens.
Yeah, end up losing because of it. And
Hmm.
I didn't have to make all those. I didn't even have to make. I didn't have to make the first move. Never mind,
Yeah.
you know. So, but I wasn't concerned about development then. I didn't know about the dojo, and
Yeah. Well, there's a reason we joined, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know what we could do that would make things simpler? Just listen to the dojo and stop doing the other stuff.
Right.
But
I
we
mean, you're still
can't.
going to make mistakes and inaccuracies, no doubt about it, especially inaccuracies.
Sure.
But you don't have to blunder it. You don't have to. I think I heard that a lot in Jesse's conversation today in the review. Was okay. It's not a bad move. Okay, I don't want to say it's a bad move. It's not a bad move. But maybe I'd rather have seen this. Well, you're
Right.
always going to have that, right?
Yep.
Even GMs.
Yep.
It's funny. Even I've been getting a high, and I know it doesn't necessarily mean anything, but high accuracy rates in the last few months, because that's what I've been thinking about. I'm like, okay, what's the good move here? What's the best move? But even with that, I still didn't make the perfect moves. You know,
No. But but like Noel says when he's on most of his episodes, you just don't want to make a bad move. You want to make a good move. If it doesn't lose more than a pawn, which we've talked about that in the past, but we probably need to do that
yes.
again. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It's good enough. Under half a pawn is ideal.
Right. And and the other thing is, you just one of the moves in a recent game that saved my keister. I'm not sure if it was seen as I went and looked at the engine or the analysis because I still don't understand the stockfish. Minus is black, right? Plus is white.
A
Is that what you
minus is
mean?
black and plus is white. Yeah.
Okay. Um, the move that saved my keister was I'm not sure it was a mistake at least, if not a blunder. It just ended up not being a blunder because of my opponent, but it ended up being it was a good move for me.
Hmm.
Because and it's the only thing I can think of, right?
Yeah.
And that happens a lot too,
Yeah.
at our level anyway, at least
Yeah.
at my level.
Or worse is when we force our opponent to do the move that we don't want them to make or that they wanted to make.
That's right. That's right. We help them out.
Yeah. Here, you want to put your queen over here. Let me check your queen. I know that's not a word, but let me check your queen and force you to move the queen right to where I don't want you and right where you do want to be for free. You should thank me. Send me a card.
Cash.
Yeah, cash is fine. We take cash. All right. So, have we talked about development in the past 10 minutes? I don't think we did.
That's all we've been talking about.
I don't know.
It's
We'll
all,
see.
it's all, it's all interrelated.
Yeah.
I think, get your pieces out, make them safe, make them, try to give them an opportunity to do the next move.
Yeah.
That's
With some
development, right?
with some looking towards other pieces and other squares.
Right.
You know. Yeah.
I think I'd like not for this one, but I would love to talk about dark square, light square, because
Weakness.
yeah, you say you don't know what the one thing we were talking about that you didn't know exactly what that meant.
Good
I have no
squares. Yeah.
idea. Yeah, good squares. I have no idea when I hear Jesse talking about light squares, dark squares, and I'm like, I never think that.
I
I mean, I've thought it a couple times, like after it's happened, I'm like, I said, this is gonna be all right, because he can't get me because he doesn't have anything on a light square,
hmm
so right, so okay, but I didn't think about that before, if I'm
yeah.
honest, right?
Yeah. I
Uh,
think I'm beginning to get a concept of it. I'm not sure I'm good enough at explaining it. That would be something we'd probably need to get a guest on, which is fine.
yeah,
Let us know if you want a guest. Let us know how we screwed up discussion on development.
help us out.
Late to chess at gmail.com. And the two is a a numer. What's a numer? I don't know.
It's a number.
It sounds like we've been podcasting way too late.
Right.
So, all right, that's our development magic part one. I'm sure we'll do this again.
Yes.
So, thanks, sir.
See you.